All right, we are back to BL and CL for an initial permanency hearing. Um, is the mother, Brianna Courtney, present? I believe I see her, yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. And what about Joshua Espinoza?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you very much. And what about Heath Duhan? Heath Duhan? Heath Duhan? Heath Duhan? Okay. All right, Mr. Espinosa, have you gone for DNA?
It's scheduled for tomorrow at 4.
Okay, scheduled for tomorrow at 4. Okay, so having called the case, the court certainly has marked you present, appreciates your presence. Let me just remind you that you do have a right to have an attorney represent you in this case. It's really a constitutional right. I cannot imagine going through something so important without having legal counsel. Now, um, let me know whether I'm sure I've gone over this with you before. Let me know that you understand that.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Okay. Now, do you have an attorney?
No, sir.
Okay. You might recall that I told you that if you are established as a parent, if you are against the termination of your parental rights and cannot afford an attorney, I will appoint an attorney to represent you. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you'll be going forward today, um, pending without an attorney today, pending that DNA, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, very good.
Okay,
Then let me right. Um, Boy, I've been waiting a long time to be able to say this. Ms. Vaselski, you may call your first.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Miss Linda Jones.
All right. And were you sworn in?
Yes.
Okay, very good. You may proceed.
How are you currently employed?
I'm the CBS caseworker.
And are you familiar with the child in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you familiar with them?
I have been visiting the home and also being in contact with the caregiver and the parent as well.
And where is the child currently placed?
They are currently placed with their aunt and uncle, Torin and Ryan LeVere.
And how is the child doing in their current placement?
They're doing very well.
Is the placement meeting the needs of the child?
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of.
How is the placement not meeting the needs of the child at this time?
But they are meeting the needs at this time.
They are meeting the needs. Is the placement in the best interest of the child at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
How is it in the best interest?
They have been caring for Braxton and Charles. They've been up to date with all of their medicals. They have provided them with their own room. They've been feeding them and providing them with their visits with their mom as well. They've been taking very well of them.
What is the department's permanency goal for this case?
It is family reunification and relative kin adoption.
Is the child seeing any healthcare providers or a physician?
Just for their doctors, for their annuals, but no extra appointments.
Are there any concerns by any of those providers at this time?
No, ma'am.
Are all the orders by the providers being followed?
Yes.
And at this time, are you asking the court to continue their current placement?
Yes, ma'am.
And you believe that this placement is the best interest of the child?
Yes, ma'am.
Move the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. McPherson.
Yes. Ms. Marks, first of all, welcome aboard. How long have you been the caseworker on this case?
Since December 1st.
And have you been able to stay in contact with my client, your mother?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Did you filed the court report in this case, correct? On December 28th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and at that time, would you say, at this time, would you say that the mother is in compliance or not in compliance with her family plan of service?
She's in compliance.
What things has she finished?
Mom has completed her parenting classes. She did complete her ADAC assessment and also her inpatient rehab. Mom did complete her BIP assessment. She also completed her psychosocial. And she has been submitting random drug testing.
And has she been visiting with her children?
Yes, ma'am, she has.
Has she missed any visits?
Not that I'm aware of.
And do you know what the visits with the children, are they appropriate?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the children appear to be bonded with her when you go to a visit?
Yes, they're very happy whenever they see their mom. They interact very well.
And what are some things that she needs to get started? Is there anything that she needs to get started?
Just the outpatient rehab. She also needs to provide her financials. I know she was doing Uber Eats and DoorDash with her cousin, but she also alerted me on today that she had got hired at a job. So she will need to provide me financials for that and just maintain stable housing for herself. And maintain a sober lifestyle as well.
And so, has there been issues with, okay, so let's go back. She went into inpatient rehab. Do you know how long she was in rehab for?
August 23rd through October 4th.
A little less than 2 months,
Yes, ma'am.
but she was successfully discharged.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what was her recommendations from her inpatient rehab?
I did not get the recommendations for it.
Okay. And then when was her BIP assessment?
She completed the BIP assessment on December 20th.
And so do you have any of those recommendations yet?
Not as of now.
As soon as you get them, can you forward those to me?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
and to my client?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you said, when did she go do her psychosocial?
Yes, ma'am. On January 11th.
So I'm going to ask again, do you have any of the recommendations from that?
No, ma'am.
Could you please send those to me as soon as you get those as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you mentioned something about how often is her visits?
She has been visiting with them weekly. And she does maintain contact with them on the phone and FaceTime just about every day.
Are the children placed with the maternal side of the family?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long are her visits weekly?
About an hour or more. It just depends on the caregiver, Miss Torrey.
Okay, so the caregiver is doing the supervising?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the caregiver hasn't expressed any concerns on those visits or anything, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now you said that she just told you that she's got a new job. Do you know when she started that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. But she needs to provide you with paycheck stubs and information on that job, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
To verify what her financial situation is.
Correct.
Okay. Now, have you, I think you may, do you know where she's living and have you been able to go out to that home?
She's with her cousin Brittany. I think it's Brittany Goodman in Vidor, Texas.
Have you been able to go to that home?
Yes, ma'am. I went visit her on last month at the home.
Okay. Now, I want her to hear this because would the department consider that to be a safe and appropriate home for the children to be returned home to?
No, ma'am.
And why is that?
According to when I did the visit, Ms. Brittany Goodman already has 2 children in the home. And I do believe it's a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. It won't be appropriate to have up to 4 children in the home.
So do you know how many? So is it a 3-bedroom apartment?
I'm not sure. I want to say 2 or 3.
Is that the only reason that makes it not appropriate is the size?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you done background checks on the Miss Brittany Goodwin?
Yes, ma'am.
And is there any concerns with her?
There was no hit.
And have you done any, is that the only person in the home besides her 2 children?
That is just her.
Okay. How old are the other 2 kids in the home?
I'm not sure.
Are they male, female?
A male and a female.
So, okay. But you don't know their ages offhand?
No, ma'am.
Are they over the age of 14?
I don't believe so.
And you said the goal in this case is family reunification, alternative is adoption. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she maintains contact with you. Is she following the general rules?
Yes, ma'am, she is. And she does maintain contact.
Okay. She's here today. And I want her to hear. Is there anything that she needs to do that she's not doing?
She just needs to maintain sobriety, and get me those financials for her new job. And we need to schedule her outpatient so we can work out a transportation schedule for her.
Okay, because what's the deal with the outpatient rehab? What's going on with that? What's do you know what the issue is?
I do know she was trying to do virtual, but I'm not sure what the actual issue is.
Okay, and is that with Right Choice?
Yes, ma'am.
So if they can't do outpatient virtual, is that and she doesn't have a vehicle, is that correct?
Correct.
Does she have to rely on her cousin at this time
Yes.
to provide transportation? Is that something that the department can assist with, is getting her transportation if she lets you know in advance that she needs the transportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Or you'll try to work it out with Right Choice and see if because it's the Right Choice in Orange, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you'll work with her. You'll try to, because that's something very important for her sobriety, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because there's always a risk of a relapse if you don't follow up, correct?
Correct.
And you said she has been trying to follow up since she's been released from inpatient. So it's not her lack of trying, is it?
No, it's not.
Is there any continuing danger for the children to be returned home today?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Courtney has recently tested positive for
Objection to the hearsay.
Sustained as to any results.
Is that the only other, would that be is there any other safety concerns?
no, ma'am.
And these children they're 7 and 10?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pass you as a witness.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Ma'am, with respect to Heath Duhan, how is he doing on his plan of service?
Mr. Heath Duhan has not completed anything on his services.
Has he begun anything?
No, sir, and he has not initiated or started anything as well.
Okay, so what is he supposed to be doing?
Mr. Duhan, he has to complete a parenting course. He does have to complete the BIP assessment. He also needs to complete an ADAC assessment. Mr. Duhan has to maintain sobriety. He also needs to complete a psychosocial evaluation. And he also needs to submit random drug testing.
Okay, is he not submitting to random Pardon me, is he not submitting to random drug screens?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there an issue he has with employment that prohibits him from doing that?
He did tell me on the last time that I sent him that he goes into work for 6:30, I believe, and he doesn't get off until 6. So that would just be his main issue, and he only notified me that on the last test that I sent him for.
So any of these services that he has yet to initiate, have they been arranged and ready to be taken care of by Mr. Duhan?
Can you repeat that for me, please?
Yes. Have these services, the BIP, the parenting, psychosocial, have all these services been arranged for Mr. Duhan to participate in?
Yes.
Okay. And when were they arranged?
Well, Mr. Duhan would have to schedule for him to complete those evaluations.
So they haven't been arranged. He has to do something.
Yes, he has to do something. Yes.
Does he know this?
Yes.
Okay. And how often do you meet with Mr. Duhan?
I have not met with Mr. Duhan since the case has been come to me as primary.
Okay. Was he aware of today's hearing?
Yes, he was.
And how did you notify him?
I notified him through mail, and I also notified him through text that it was through Zoom.
Okay. And did he respond to the text?
No, sir.
What? All right, I'll pass the witness. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wright.
You said you don't have the results you don't have recommendations from inpatient, anything from BIP, or anything from the psychosocial. As soon as you get those, could you get those to me?
Yes, ma'am.
You said you're trying to get the outpatient arranged. Was that a recommendation from inpatient?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they also recommend any NA or AA?
I'm unsure.
Okay, is that something on Miss Courtney's service plan, the NAAA?
No, ma'am.
Okay. But you don't know whether that's was on the recommendation from the inpatient?
Correct. I'm unsure.
Okay, I'd like to get that as soon as possible. And you said, I also would like you to send me all of her drug test results, please.
Yes, ma'am.
And were any of those drug tests concerning to you?
Yes, ma'am. The recent one.
Okay. And I certainly want to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
And how often does she get to visit with the children?
Weekly.
And where did the visits take place?
I do believe they meet at the home. I know they have been meeting at parks. On last Friday they met at Chick-fil-A. So the area changes.
Okay, and who supervises these visits?
Miss Torrin.
Okay. All right, I pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Ms. Vaselski.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may call your next, if any.
We have no further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. McPherson, you may call your first, if any.
Miss Courtney, are you able to hear me and unmute?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you've heard the testimony from Miss Marks. Is there anything that you disagree with or of her testimony as far as your service plans?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and do you understand what you need to do on your service plan yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you get the family plan of service that with the evaluation that she just completed here recently? Were you able to get that in the mail and go over it?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything in there that you disagree with or you don't understand?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And how are your visits going with your children?
They're going great. Normally we do them at the parks, so we get to play and they get to go play with other little kids. So
Except when it's really cold, right?
Yeah, when it's cold, they still want to, but yeah, like I told them, you'll get sick. We're not doing that.
Okay, and is an alternative then either, is that in the home of the placement that you had the visits or at your current home? I wasn't clear on that.
We have not done it at either home. The last time we went to Chick-fil-A so they could play in the play center and stuff. And there was one time that the boys wanted to go to Walmart. So we walked around Walmart for them to show me what they wanted for Christmas.
Okay. And so were you able to get them and some Christmas presents and spend some time with them on Christmas?
I did not spend time with them on Christmas. I saw them a day or so later, but yes, ma'am, I got them Christmas.
You heard the concerns about the home you're in. Is it a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom home?
It's a 3-bedroom.
Okay. Do you believe that that's an appropriate home, or do you think that you need a bigger home to have the kids come home?
I am actually currently trying to get a apartment myself.
So the kids would have more room?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old are the kids in the home right now?
9 and 4.
9 and 4?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was mentioned that you got a new job.
Yes, ma'am.
And where are you going to be working?
At an assisted living in Orange.
Okay, that's all we need to know. And you'll get the information to your caseworker, correct? About when
Yes,
you
ma'am.
get paid. Have you started there already, or when do you start?
I went in Saturday and Sunday night.
And how often will you get paid?
Every other Friday.
And is that a full-time or a part-time?
It is part-time right now, but she is giving me the option to be able to pick up to where I can work full-time hours.
Now, is that going to interfere with some of your being able to do some of your services, like the hours that she can request you to go do a drug screen or work on some of your other services? Do you know?
It should not, because I'm mainly working Saturday and Sunday nights. And then as of right now, she said I could pick up like Tuesdays on days. So as long as they don't fall like on a Tuesday, I will be able to still go do the random drug screens and things.
Okay, so I wanted the caseworker to understand. And the best way to do that is to text her when you know your work schedule and give them a copy of your work schedule, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And if it changes, if you get called in, because a lot of people, you might get called in to fill in, right? To
Yes, ma'am.
let your caseworker know, just send her a text, okay? And say,
Yes,
hey,
ma'am.
I got called into work as soon as you know, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you understand that if you don't go and do a drug test when it's requested, that can be deemed a failure.
Yes, ma'am.
And we don't want that, do
No, ma'am.
we? Okay. You don't know how long it might be before you're looking at getting an apartment. Do you have a time frame?
Not yet. Because I just started working there. It'll probably be sometime closer to February. That way I have the money to put it down for it.
Okay. And you also would need transportation, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're probably looking for a place at least closer to your job and to your children. Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me a little bit? So the outpatient, you heard the caseworker that you've been trying to get it set up virtual. What happened with all of this outpatient that you needed to do?
I went in the day it was set up for me to go in, spent 2 hours there filling out all the paperwork I needed to, explained to the lady again that I did not have transportation at the time. It was agreed that I could do Zoom, but she still told me that I had to go in person, on a certain day at a certain time. I tried to let her know that was not, possible for me to do at the time. I had also reached out to her again through email, and she again stated that I could do the Zoom, but that I still absolutely had to go in person, try to tell her, again, my vehicle still broke and my mom was not allowing me to use her vehicle at the time. So at this point, I do believe I have to reach back out to the counselor that set it up in the beginning from rehab to get referred again.
If that's something that the department can do, that would probably short circuit it and get you in sooner, correct?
Probably.
Okay. But you haven't received, from what you're understanding, from it was Brazo's place that you were at, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And they recommended what is your understanding of what they recommended?
The only recommendation that I know of was that I did the intensive outpatient, which granted at the time I didn't think nothing of because I was starting to do my family plan and it wasn't on there. So I went in the day after I got out of rehab for that 2 hours, but I was informed on my PC call that it was something that I still had to do, even though it was just a recommendation. So I then again started trying to initiate that.
Okay, so you thought it because it wasn't on your family plan of service that it wasn't a requirement, but now you understand that just like your psychosocial, your BIP, all of these different things that they do, they may make recommendations, and that becomes a part of the family plan of service. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you understand that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And have you I don't know if you've done this or not, but I would recommend it if you haven't. If you can't get into the outpatient right away, do some AANA, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And get you a sponsor.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not saying that's on your family plan of service, but I'm just letting you know. Do that and get a sponsor, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you want to do whatever you can to get your kids home, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And they deserve it, don't they?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they deserve a sober, appropriate mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any contact with Mr. Duhan or Espinoza as far as Mr. Duhan being here today, or know where he's at, or how to make sure he can?
As far as I know, he said that he was not informed of it.
Is there anything else before I pass you as a witness that you would like this court to know before I pass you as a witness?
No.
I mean, are you ready for the kids to come home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, even in the home that you're in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You just want to find a bigger apartment. Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it sounds like you're getting as many visits as you want, or should we ask the court to give you more time if possible?
As of right now, it's as long as the caregivers don't have anything planned, I can do them as often as I want. But I know my oldest one is fixing to start baseball, so it's gonna put it off a little bit. But I try to do it every Friday because they don't have school on Fridays. That way, it's not interrupting school. It's not interrupting like homework or anything.
Well, if he's in baseball, I mean, are you able to attend some of his games if possible?
I plan to as long as I'm not working.
Okay. Is there anything else that you can think of that would help you to be successful?
No, ma'am, not other than attending the NA and AA meetings and doing this outpatient program.
And then whatever else is recommendations on and any of your evaluation.
Yes,
okay. Thank you. I'll pass you as a witness.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Do you have any criminal charges pending, Miss Courtney?
Not as far as I know.
Okay, you don't have anything that you were arrested for and maybe have not been indicted for?
The only time I've ever been arrested was for driving with no license.
Okay. What illegal drugs have you taken in the last couple of months?
The only illegal drugs that I had done was methamphetamine.
And when was that?
Not too terribly long ago. I don't know the exact date.
And how many times have you done the meth since you got out of rehab?
Twice.
Are you drug tested at work?
No, ma'am, I just started, so they haven't drug tested me.
And you're not doing any NA or AA, correct?
Not right now, no, ma'am.
Okay. I pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bileski.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to clarify, what do you mean when you say not too long ago is the last time you've taken this substance?
I had recently went back to the area that I had where I lived prior when when the kids got taken, and had a slip and then immediately removed myself from the area.
And you're aware that you need to wear personal protection equipment when you visit your children?
Yes, ma'am.
And for every visit thus far, have you been wearing that protection equipment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Ms. McPherson.
You understand people, places, and things, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And we always, and the judge says this, relapse happens, don't it?
Yes, ma'am.
But you've removed yourself from that situation, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't intend to go back to that situation again, do you?
No, ma'am.
And you understand now that had you been maybe an outpatient or AANA, might have been taught that again to reinforce not to go back there, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's where I'm telling you, even though it's not on your family plan of service, to get you a sponsor that you could reach out to and say, hey, just get you a sponsor, okay, that can help you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we want you to be successful. Your kids want you to be successful. I think everybody on your case wants you to be successful and get your kids returned and be a sober, safe home for your kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So even though it's not on your family plan of service, I'm encouraging you to do it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And remember, if you need to vent, pick up the phone and call me too, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Courtney? All right, any other witnesses, Ms. McPherson?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, any witnesses, Mr. Crocker?
Your Honor, I would like to recall briefly Mrs. Marks.
All right.
One question, Mrs. Marks, when was the BIP added for Mr. Duhan's family plan?
Say it again.
Yes, ma'am. When was BIP added to Mr. Duhan's family plan of service?
I did just update the family plan. I'm waiting for approval. And his BIP assessment was added on there.
So it's not been approved, so it's not part of the plan yet.
It was originally a part of the previous family plan.
Well, that was my question. When was it put in?
That had to be about 3 months ago when the original caseworker had made the family plan.
Okay, so you're saying BIP has been a condition of his plan of service for at least 3 months.
Correct.
All right, best witness. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Any witnesses, Ms. Wright,
Yes, I'd like to call Miss Stanley, please.
please?
Miss Stanley, you're the guardian ad litem for the boys.
I am.
And how are they doing?
They're doing great. Walker and Braxton, their grades have improved tremendously since they moved in with their paternal uncle and their aunt. They're up to date on all medical and dental. So I recommend continued placement. Walker has expressed to the both of us, Ms. Wright, if you'll recall, with Mr. Espinoza, when the DNA does come back, Walker said he would like to meet his dad once. With that being said, I would like for that to occur in a therapeutic setting. So to offer Walker that support, I think that would be in his best interest. Other than that, I am in agreement with the current placements. And as far as Heath, I have been in contact. The visits were cut off because it's my understanding that Walker reported he saw him smoke pot. There was an investigation. I've had 2 investigators call me. The second phone call, they wanted to rule it out administratively. So I suppose that's what happened. But of course, there was no open investigation on Heath, his wife, and the new children. I know there were some issues. Heath reached out to me. He was able to transfer into a local job. They were very strict with him on leaving the site. So he just had to make a choice to be the provider for his family that he has to take care of, or lose his job. And he can't do that. So he's telling me he didn't know about today. I don't know if he did or not. That's not something for me to straighten out. So continued placement, Your Honor.
And he, let's talk about he for just a minute. So he has several other children, is that right?
He
In
does.
his home with his present wife?
Yes.
And he was working, I think, in Louisiana, wasn't he?
Yes.
And he's transferred back to the area now?
Correct.
And as far as you know, has he gotten any visits with his child or either or both boys?
CPS suspended the visits when the marijuana issue came up. He doesn't do virtual. I don't know whose hands, it just stopped. So I don't know. Someone else would have to answer those questions of why everything just stopped.
Well, do you think, his son and maybe both the boys, if, Walker was given the choice, should be able to visit some, even if it's supervised or virtual or whatever it may be?
Yes, I asked him last night because we needed the answers for court. I didn't know what the boys would say. Time has passed, but both the boys, Walker included, would like to see Heath and the family.
So would you recommend that the visits be set up, however it possibly can be?
Yes. Yes, it's very important.
And Mr. Crocker asked about BIP. Do you remember that BIP ever being a issue? I didn't think Mr. Duhan had a whole lot to do on his plan.
No, I can remember even the parenting, because during the staffing, I said, well, he's got 3 kids and 1 on the way. Why would he need parenting? And I could have sworn that was removed, and then it came up on the plan. And then I don't recall, but I would have to look at my notes before I refresh my memory about the BIP, but that just some way hits me in the face as not, I don't remember that.
So we need to go back and investigate that.
Yes.
And you think that some visits need to be set up between Mr. Duhan and the boys?
I do.
And you would recommend that?
Yes.
And again, with Mr. Espinoza, has he ever met Walker before? Has Walker ever met him that he remembers, that Walker remembers?
No.
So that needs to be a first time meeting in a therapeutic session, correct?
It's a very delicate situation because you can tell that Walker, it makes his emotions run high.
How old is Walker now?
Pardon me?
How old is he now?
Well, you would have, I'm gonna say 10 or 11. I'm
But he's
guessing.
older, so it's been a long, he's never
older.
seen
That's
his
right.
father, correct?
You know, he has some things just like the girlfriend that his mother had. He never wants to see her again as long as she lives.
And are these children in counseling, as far as you know?
I'm going to have to get some records, but I believe they are.
Okay. So you would like to have the records,
Yes.
as would I.
Yes, please.
I pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. Vaselsky.
Just a quick question. I just want to clarify that on Mr. Duhan, his visitation, was that suspended after the marijuana discovery, or was that just switched to supervised visitation?
It was court ordered, judge court ordered weekend visits with the children. And then we didn't come back to court. It was my understanding that they were just suspended. Now, if that's all the information I have from Mr. Duhan.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. McPherson.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Can I say one more thing, Judge?
You may, Ms. Stanley, you may, please.
With our new DA, I'll get your name right in a minute. But the question about suspension, I think they were going to move the visits to supervised at the CPS office in Lumberton. But there again, it makes it impossible for Mr. Duhan to participate because he just can't due to work.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Marks, is this a discussion you've had with Mr. Duhan? Perhaps not.
No.
All right, thank you. Okay, anything else from anyone else?
No,
Okay.
Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Okay. Ms. Courtney, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I really don't know, and you have been before me in person, yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I really don't know. I honestly don't know if you are inclined to listen to me when I talk to you. I do know that when you were asked about your children and your visitation with your children, a big smile came across your face. Your eyes lit up, your entire demeanor and body became animated.
Yes, can I please call you back? Okay.
When you were asked questions about any relapse, your face was just hangdog. I have known exponentially more people who needed help getting off meth than those who did it by themselves. Racking my brain, I can't think of one person who has been able to do that by themselves. You don't have to. You can't. You don't have to. And you're not alone. You're not alone. And you can do this. Okay, I applaud you. Even with this, even if you were to have tested positive, I don't know what that drug test showed. Okay, but regardless, your time in inpatient was time well spent. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Build on that. You build on that, and you get traction, and you get a little progress under your belt. And any relapses become farther and fewer between. And they disappear in your rearview mirror, okay? You have to remember your people, places, and things. That's not just a cliche. That's not just tautology, okay?
Yes, sir.
When you were asked about relapsing, this is how you started your explanation and your answer. I went back. That's exactly what you did. Figuratively, literally, and in this case, you deserve better. Your children need you, want you, and deserve you, okay? So I want you to get on that relapse prevention program, get into that outpatient, those classes. Don't go backwards, okay? As far as I'm concerned, you can rip that reverse gear out of your transmission, okay?
Yes, sir.
You can do this. Now, if between you and me, I'm the only one that believes in you right now, that's enough for now. You're gonna get it, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I see your face lighting up again. Okay. Let's keep it that way. Let's keep it that way. Now, you remember, I have to tell you about the boogeyman, but it is very serious reality. And it's this: if you can't, by the end of this case, provide a safe environment for your children, and that means at the very least a drug-free environment, your parental rights may be further restricted or even terminated permanently. I know you understand that. I know you don't want that to happen. So we are back on track. I'm not telling you to get back on track. I think you already are back on track. So let's keep going forward.
Yes, sir.
You got this. You can do it. You're not alone. You can't do it by yourself. Okay. You don't have to. You can do this. Okay. Now, we are coming back here on May the 7th. Someone may file something and get us back in here sooner. Hopefully, if that happens, it's for a good reason. But unless that happens, we'll be back in here for a permanency review before final order on May the 7th, at 9 a.m. By that time, I hope to hear nothing but a bunch of good news. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So our dismissal date is July the 22nd, 2024. Mr. Espinoza, thank you for you being here. Go get that DNA test done tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Will do. When I get off, I'll head that way.
All right. Thank you very much. And so any initial visit, Ms. Marks, shall be therapeutic between CL and Mr. Espinoza.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we'll build on that based on best interest recommendations. And of course, the child's progress and desires and wishes. Okay, anything else from anyone else? Now, today, I'm going to find that there would be a continuing danger, would be contrary to the children's welfare to be placed back today. I expect that to become less true as we move forward. So keep up, again, Mom, going in the right direction, do whatever it takes to stay in recovery. TMC shall continue with the department. Placement with the relative shall continue with the court's appreciation for that. So I'll sign orders to that effect as soon as they're presented to me. And with that, you all are excused. Thank you very much. Please take care. Let me see if the mother, Alexis Carey, is present.
Your Honor, she already informed me she would not be present, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Not able to attend.
Okay, all right, thank you. And we also have Ms. Wright, I should say, as the mother's guardian ad litem. And what about Kevin Siggers? Kevin Siggers. Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Selke, you may proceed.
And can you please state your name for the record?
Carolyn Kamak, I'm the CVS caseworker.
And are you familiar with the child in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you familiar with him?
He was born to the mother during the process of another case, and I've been the caseworker since he was born.
And who are the parents of the child in this case?
Alexis Carey, and the alleged father is Kevin Siggers.
And were they both given notice to be at this court hearing?
Miss Carey was, Mr. Siggers has had zero contact with the department.
Has the department been able to locate the alleged father at this time?
No, ma'am.
Has the mother provided any known or possible locations for the father or any way to contact him?
She's told us a couple of times that she thought he was in San Antonio area, which he was briefly. She most recently told me that she has seen him around Silsby.
And has the department attempted to contact him, but the department has not been successful?
Yes, there is no contact information for him.
And where is the child in this case currently placed?
He is placed with in a kinship home.
And how is the child doing in that placement?
He's doing really well.
And what's the relation of the child to the home he's in?
The caregiver is Miss Carey's cousin. I don't know if she's a first cousin or a second.
And is the placement meeting all of the children, all the child's needs at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any current issues regarding this placement?
No.
And do you believe that this placement is in the best interest of the child at this time?
I do.
Can you explain why?
It affords him the opportunity to bond with not only his mom, but also extended family members.
And what is the current plan for this child?
Currently, it is reunification with relative fictive kin, adoption as a concurrent.
Do you believe that this is an achievable goal?
I do.
Has a service plan been filed with this court?
Yes, ma'am.
Has it been filed for the mother and the father?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was this filed?
They would have been filed towards the end of December, first part of January, when I filed the hearing.
And how is the mother doing on her service plan?
She is participating some. She's supposed to maintain her mental health. She states that she hasn't seen the doctor, but she is taking her medication. But the last time that I counted medication, there was a discrepancy in the count. Excuse me. She has started parenting classes though.
So what items has she not completed on her plan thus far?
She really doesn't have much on her plan. It's to maintain her mental health and to do the parenting.
And do you know her intent to complete the service plan?
It's hard to know. I think she wants to, but it's hard to know if she's serious about it, whether she will follow through, if she's able to follow through.
Do you think that family reunification is possible in this case?
I do not.
Why?
Based on the mental health concerns for the mother and her ability to provide.
Is there currently a visitation plan in place for the mother?
There is a visitation plan. She visits with the child on Sundays when the caregiver brings the child from the home to, I think, Port Arthur, where her husband is a pastor. So she's given the opportunity to visit at church and after church. She has visited once, I think, since the move was made to the current caregiver.
And how did that visit go?
The caregiver said that everything was good.
And were there any concerns about that visit or about future visits?
No, ma'am. And I do need to correct myself on the permanency goals of the case. I got them backwards. It is relative fictive kin adoption with a concurrent of family reunification.
Do the parents understand that their failure to comply with the service plan could result in them losing their parental rights in this case?
I don't know how well she understands that.
Who will be consenting to medical care for the child?
The caregiver is the medical consenter.
And has the child been seen by any healthcare provider?
He had an appointment on December 18th. That was a 6-month appointment, I think.
And were there any concerns with the child at that time?
No, ma'am. He has a little eczema that's being treated, but other than that, there were no medical concerns.
Has the respondents in this case submitted their child placement form?
Have they submitted what?
A child placement form?
The child placement forms have been filed in Impact, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, I just want it on the
Yes.
record.
Yes.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. McPherson.
Yes, when we're talking about the mother in this case, and you hesitated quite a bit, she's been appointed a guardian ad litem because she has a really hard time understanding things and retaining the information, correct?
Correct.
And in this case, she's got a very limited family plan of service, primarily because her ability to actually do the services and understand and benefit from them, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I read that, she's when she visits, she loves her child, her children, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There's no doubt in your mind that she loves her children. It's just based on her mental health is her ability, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if the current caregivers have you approached the subject of taking PMC of Jacorian with them?
Excuse me. They state that they're willing to do whatever it takes to take care of Jacorian and ensure that he has a home.
Okay. Do you believe that at this point that it'd probably be in the best interest of everybody to have at least a mediation or a conference regarding permanent placement sooner than later?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And has the siblings been able to visit?
I asked her about that a couple of days ago, and she said that they have not had a chance to visit yet. But I have provided her the other caregivers' contact information, and she said that she would make sure that they arrange visits.
Okay, they're related, aren't they?
The two caregivers are not related by blood. They went to school together, I think is my understanding of how they're related. I don't think there's a blood relation though.
So when you're saying placed with a maternal aunt and uncle, is it the uncle that's related or the aunt, or how is that relationship with the mother in my case been established?
The wife in the case and the caregiver, the female caregiver, is Miss Carrie's cousin.
Okay.
And the other caregiver for the other child is not related by blood except through the child.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought you were asking if both caregivers were related.
Yes, I was. That's how
Okay.
and how that, if not, how one is and not the other.
Yes.
And the placement just occurred here just recently, correct? Like mid-December?
The what did?
The
The
placement?
placement? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think I placed him on December 14th.
And this is a placement that Miss Carrie had actually put on her caregiver resource form, correct?
I don't think she had her on the caregiver resource form, but in our conversation, she did bring up her name. And so I was able to get in touch with her and ask about her interest.
Okay. What else can my mother do? I mean, what can she do that she's not already attempting to do?
I think she just needs to continue to be supportive of her children and addressing her mental health and continuing with her parenting classes so that she can learn new parenting skills.
All right, thank you. I'll pass you as a witness.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Moore?
I have no questions, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cat, has a paternity registry search been done?
Yes, sir. Not sure what the date on it was.
Has it
Give
been
me just a moment. I'll see if I can locate that.
has it been filed?
It would not have been filed. I think I actually just got this. It would not have been filed, no, sir. It's going to take some digging in the email.
Do you recall whether anyone
There were no results
Any-
returned on it.
I
No,
mean-
sir.
Okay. Let me give you a few moments to try to access that.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
do you feel like sharing that if Ms. Kamak, I've enabled the screen share feature? Will either you or Ms. Baselski share that so I can make an appointment?
Yes, Judge. I just need to. I'll have to log in on a second device if you'll just give me 1 minute.
I think I was briefly the host, Your Honor.
Well, congratulations, I'm back. That's the third time that's happened, and I think my connection is unstable. So I certainly did not hear the answer. I don't even know if you all heard the question. I bet you can anticipate it though. Well, let me see if I can remember it. Whether somebody can share the certificate of search so I can make an appointment.
I can, Judge. I just have to log in on a different device.
Oh, well,
So I'm
maybe
working on that right now.
No, let's see if somebody else can do that. Ms. Kamak, can you email that? Please don't mail it. Email it to your attorney or anyone on maybe Ms. McPherson.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm not finding it in my email, but I will continue the search and make sure that it gets sent over and filed.
Okay. Okay. If you'll be so kind as to continue to search for that
Yes, sir.
while we finish up, I would really like to be able to make an appointment based on that before we adjourn. So, any other witnesses from anyone? Ms. Moore, you're in a dual role. So, if there are no other witnesses, I'm ready.
Your Honor, I would call Miss Bevel as the guardian ad litem for mom.
Okay. Very good.
Miss Bevel,
Mhm.
right? Yes, you're the guardian ad litem for the mother in this case. And
Correct.
you've heard the testimony so far. As her guardian ad litem, I mean, do you have any insight or input that you would like to share with this court?
Well, I know that Alexis loves her child and she enjoys visiting with him. And I've talked with Ms. Kamak and she was transporting Alexis and she enjoyed her too. And she had been very appropriate on all of her visits with Jacorian. Now the family comes to, I think it's Port Arthur every week where the husband preaches. And so I don't know if they get with Alexis every week or not. But also myself, I've talked with Mr. Siggers. I had someone help me find him when we were looking for placements. And he, as far as I know, he's still in Silsby, and I was trying to help arrange to get him served. And I tried to talk him into coming to court and taking a DNA test, but obviously he didn't. So But he is around as far as I know, and whoever you appoint, I'll give them what information I have on him.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wright. Anything else for Ms. Wright? Anyone? Okay, all right. Any witnesses further, Ms. McPherson? There we go.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Moore, any witnesses? If not, I'm ready for your recommendation.
No witnesses, Judge, and I would just recommend that the department maintain TMC and that the placement remain the same.
All right, thank you. Okay, any luck, Ms. Kamak?
No, sir. I'm finding all of the finders and every other referral thing that's been made, but I'm not seeing that paternity search. I have requested from the investigator, if she has it, to please forward it to me again.
Okay, my guess is she's not going to have it just because it's so early on in the case. If one has not been done, then the court would hereby order an expedited paternity registry search. If it's not been done, if it has been done and it's located, the court directs the caseworker to e-file that forthwith.
Yes, sir.
And once that has happened, then Ms. Veselski, if you will let my coordinator know, and I'll take a look at it once it's filed and then make an appointment based on that. Okay, there are no parents present to admonish. Our next hearing is for a permanency review before final order, April 16th at 9 a.m. Final trial, July the 2nd at 1:30. Dismissal date, August 5th, 2024. PMC, strike that. TMC continues with the department, and the current placement shall continue as well. So with that, thank you all very much. I'll sign orders to that effect. And so you all are excused on the carry matter. And if that's all you have order, you are excused. Let's see if the mother, Melissa Davis, is present. Melissa Davis, Melissa Davis, Melissa Davis. If you are there, Ms. Davis, unmute your device and announce your appearance. If you're on the phone, press *6. Unmute and announce your presence. Melissa Davis. Thank you very much. Ms. Veselski, you may call your first.
I call Linda Jones. Can you please state your name for the record?
Linda Jones.
And how are you currently employed, Ms. Jones?
I'm the CVS caseworker for this case.
And are you familiar with the child in this case?
Yes, ma'am. I'm familiar.
And how are you familiar with Willard?
Willard is on my caseload. I am his current CPS caseworker.
And where is Willard currently placed?
Willard is placed in a RTC in Dayton, Texas.
And how is he doing in that placement?
Willard is doing fine in the placement. He has no issues or concerns right now. All of his medical and dental needs are being met.
So is the placement meeting all of the needs of Willard at this time?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
And is this placement in the best interest of the child?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Why is it in the best interest?
The place is the most restricted place for him at the time to meet his needs that he has. And he has a treatment plan that he follows, and he sees the therapist weekly.
How old is Willard?
Willard is 14 years old.
And what grade is he in?
He's in the 9th grade.
Is he still attending regular education?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the department's permanency goal for him?
Right now is relative adoption with a concurrent goal of family reunification.
Is the child is currently seeking healthcare from a provider or a physician?
Yes, ma'am.
And are all those orders being followed?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the child taking any psychotropic medication at this time?
Yes, ma'am. He takes Zoloft for his anxiety and Risperdal for his mood swings.
And are all those medications being administered according to state guidelines?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you asking the court today to continue the child's placement at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
And you believe that this is in the best interest of the child?
Yes, ma'am.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Butler.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any other witnesses, Ms. Vaselski?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Butler, you may call your first.
Oh, I have no witnesses, Your Honor. I would ask the court to, well, let me call Ms. Stanley.
All right.
Ms. Stanley, have you had a chance to visit with Trey since the last hearing?
I have December 28th, 2023.
How is he doing?
He's doing great. He looks great. He's gained weight. He's exercising. This is the best place that Trey has been since he's been in care. His goals are being met. The placement has regular meetings to review his educational needs, his medications, and a while back, Trey is involved, wanted to be involved with his medications. He didn't understand why he took depression. In his mind, he didn't think he was depressed, so he has broached that subject with his doctors and therapists. And I asked him if he was satisfied, and he is satisfied with that. He does have contact with his mom. There was a Christmas visit, and then I know there's contact by phone. The placement's very good about answering the phone, encouraging the kids, I guess, to call us. So it's great. It's a good placement. And the main thing is Trey wanted this. He wanted this, and he is happy there, and he feels like he's getting the help he needs.
Is he progressing in school okay?
Yes, there was no complaints.
Do you think it's in his best interest to continue where he is?
Yes, sir, and meet his treatment goals. I sure do.
I have found the RTC to be the best I've seen in keeping me abreast of him and his school and activities. Are you experiencing the same?
Yes, sir, I am.
It's been remarkable to have communication.
I agree.
That keeps us informed.
Yes, sir.
And I commend the department for getting this. I think you will join with me in that.
Absolutely.
Pass witness.
All right, thank you. Where is this RTC?
In Dayton, Texas.
Okay, all right. Yes. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Ms. Stanley? Okay. Have we, Mr. Butler, have you all gotten the SSI situated, figured out?
No, Your Honor, I have great concern about it, and the fact that there is, I think ordinarily at this age, the parents would be trying to set aside some to help launch the child. He's buying his own biscuits and jeans with the SSI, or it's not actually SSI. I think it's the survival benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my concern, that if these funds are totally consumed for his room and board, and I understand why the state wants to do that, then he'll have little or no lunch money. And I do not foresee that Trey is of the mental aptitude that would likely lead toward some of the things that has advantages of being in care, such as scholarships and those kinds of things. It's a tragedy, but this whole case is a tragedy.
All right. Well, you all simply need to meet with the powers that be and get this addressed, get this rectified. I'm going to set this for a progress. So if it's not addressed and solved to everyone's satisfaction, then the court would be prepared to take evidence and testimony at this subsequent setting. I do recall that the order was that the money be lawfully distributed, whatever the federal and state law called for. Bear with me just a moment. And I think efforts need to be begun right away. And that is not just right before the hearing. I'm going to set it for a progress. Regarding the disbursement of the survivors' benefits. And I'm going to set it on March the 19th. March the 19th at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. 9 a.m. And I wouldn't be surprised if you had to go way up the chain of command on this. Okay, anything else from anyone else? I am delighted and relieved and grateful to hear about how well he's doing. Even the weight gain pleases me for once. So thank you all very much. The department shall continue as the permanent managing conservator of the child. Placement requisite findings are made. Placement shall continue. So our next hearing is going to be for the progress. Any update regarding, again, the survivors' benefits. That's 3/19, but our next permanency review is hereby July the 7th, at 9 a.m.